Gridiron Grinder! Hut hut hike!
All right, there, party people. Friday night, Gridiron Grinder time. I'm Ryan. With me, as always, is my buddy James. Just a couple of dudes hanging out, talking about what's going on in the NFL each week. This is episode 135 of Gridiron Grinder. And tonight we're going to kick things off with Name That Stadium like we always do. Then we're going to hit the news from this past week. After that, we're going to do a little bit of AFC free agency matchmaking. We're going to try and plug in some holes on some rosters while we're looking at, I don't know what source you got, James, but I'm going with the NFL's top 101 free agents. And so, maybe we might want to get on the same sheet of music there, but we got time to figure that out. And then last but not least, we'll close it off with our question of the week. And so, yeah, man, with all that being said, how's it going tonight?
It's going good. How's it going with you?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. I'm, late week, a little bit of fatigue here, but as we're talking some football, I'm sure I'll get my second wind and things will start flowing.
Yeah, hopefully.
All right, well, hey, man, why don't you take that ball and run with it? Do some name that stadium for us, James.
All right, so this part of the show is where, as you can see, I'm traveling around the country. It's the off season, so I could basically be anywhere that could host the NFL game. Uh, and you guess it, you get it right, be the first person. We'll give you an extra special bookmark shout out. You don't guess it, you can't get any shout out. If you guess it, you get it wrong. We might give you a little jabbing shout out to thank you for actually participating. With that said, last week I was in LA. I wanted to stay closer to home. Plus, on Friday, right before we started, I was reading all the articles how like the Rams are unloading talent. They were cutting Bobby Wagner. They were looking to trade Jalen Ramsey. So I thought it was pretty topical to what I was seeing on Friday, late Friday afternoon last week.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. They hit the news in a couple of big ways, and that makes some good sense. And yeah, for anybody who's watching, hey, you miss all the shots you don't take, right? So,
Pretty much.
yeah, or however that saying goes. So take a shot, right or wrong. We're going to throw you some love. And yeah, man, let's have some fun. So, um, all right, James, recap of the past week. Just jump into it, or do you want to talk a little bit more about the Rams?
I'm sure we might hit a couple points here and there about the Rams as we go on. So I'm good to jump into the recap of the week.
All right, well, yeah, let's do our recap of the past week. And so, before the show, I had, tipped my hat to you, letting you know that I was not at my home this week, and so I didn't have my usual NFL Network action. But the NFL Combine did start this week, and there's some news there that I'm deficient on. I'm sure I'll come back and pick up a couple pieces next week, and maybe you got some of the news tonight. I did see U of M's DJ Turner the second ran a
Mm-hmm.
freaking blazing hot 4.2640. That's just like lightning fast. And then I saw a defensive lineman from Pitt ran a 40 just a hair faster than Aaron Donald did back in his day. And this guy, of course, going to Pitt, uh, a little bit undersized at the position, getting just a ton of comparables to Aaron Donald. And so, I don't know, that's a very tough thing to do, obviously, but, uh, the news likes stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
uh,
The
yeah,
other thing with the combine is this fucking safety class this year, from what I'm seeing, is slow as fuck.
really.
Yeah,
Huh.
like some of the highlights. Just going some of the top safeties in the draft. Brian Branch ran a 4.5840.
Okay.
Antonio Johnson ran a 4.52. Chris Smith ran a 4.62. Like the top one, two, three, four, five. The top five safeties in this class: Jamie Robinson, Jordan Battle. The fastest was 4.52, and like you all keep going down, and like you have like some 4.7, 4.6s, 4.7s. It's just pretty slow. The fastest safety in the draft was the three, four, five, 15th rated safety, according to the consensus ratings I've been seeing, who ran a 4.43.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, I guess let me ask you if you know it or not, but um, a lot of my research on these college guys coming out doesn't quite happen until we get closer to the draft.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that, you know, a lot of the league, NFL wise, has been going more towards like hybrid safeties that play linebacker. And so, I think you're looking at getting some bigger guys that can match up on tight ends and do some more things like that, which would result in them, likely being a little bit slower. Is it possible that we're seeing that wave now starting to come out of college, or is this just like an abnormally slow class at safety, do you think?
So, you know, looking at it felt really slow to me reading all the stats, but apparently, according to the 5-year NFL Combine stat report, the average speed at at free safety was 4.53, strong safety was 4.55. So
Okay.
it's not as bad as any as it looked to me. I'm just glancing like the top ones last year. I For some reason there's something that cued me that I was like, that seems really, really slow.
I got you.
And let me running backs, wide
Yeah, do a
receivers, safe.
little bit of poking around there, man. Yeah, and I know sometimes too you can see disparity at the top compared to the bottom. Like sometimes you get like your top tier of guys, maybe they light it up and they do great, and then it's like it falls off a cliff, and so like the average gets kind of drugged down a little bit. But you really got to dig deep to try and figure that out. And so,
Yeah. So
um,
so so last year at the combine, um, the fastest safety was 4.34. That was Nick Cross,
yeah, that's fast, man.
and the slowest was a tie between Kyle Hamilton and Quentin Lake at 4.59.
Okay, yeah, and Hamilton, he still snuck into the first round, didn't he?
I think so.
To Baltimore, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, okay, I got you.
So yeah, so last year, like the top five last year, three, four, five, six. The top six safeties, speed wise, were in the 4.3 range. So that I think that's what was kind of cueing is like, wow, that seems really
Okay.
slow.
Yeah, so
Because
maybe, yeah, so I wonder maybe last year was just a fast class. Uh,
yeah, because last year's class rivaled the cornerback class last year for speed.
oh yeah, well then yeah, it was probably abnormally fast because yeah, usually the corners they've got the speed.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well yeah, so in other combine news, man, is there anything else that you picked up on that you wanna hit on?
So there were like a couple little things. You had hit the Turner speed, but one thing I found interesting about the combine was uh, what's his face? Derek Carr was there. Instead of traveling around to meet with all these teams, he went to the combine to meet with the team or prospective teams.
Okay.
Um, and there's one other thing I picked up on, and it was oh gosh, I'm forgetting now.
Yeah,
What
so
was?
I know what is it that top prospect Jalen Carter, he had that
Oh yeah,
that arrest issue of what was it like street racing or something?
yeah. I saw that, but I don't. I don't think that that's gonna really affect his prospects much because it's terrible what happened, but what it boils down to is it was a misdemeanor offense. And I mean, he might get a couple game suspension for it, but um, nothing too.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you had the what was it, the Georgia quarterback? He was like making
Stetson
some
Bennett.
comments to address that like drunken or whatever it was, drunken public or whatever from like January he got, and so he was supposed to, address that to the media. And I'm sure there's, who knows how many situations kind of like that guys got to clear up while they're there. These are just the couple that I got to hear of intermittently this week.
Yeah. Oh, I remember what it was. It was what's his face? C.J. Stroud said he was asked about prospects of being drafted by Chicago, and he said that's the one team I don't want to go to.
Okay.
But it has more to do with the fact that he's really good friends with
Justin Fields.
Fields, Justin
Yeah, some
Fields.
respect for his
So
fellow
he's like
Buckeye.
that's his team. I don't want to
Yeah,
don't want to go there type of thing.
it's a very
The headline,
politically correct thing to say.
yeah, the headline I read was a little bit eye catching because it's like CJ Stroud says he doesn't want to go to Chicago or something like that, and then
Yeah. Oh, he doesn't want
actually
to go number one overall or whatever. Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
and then
well, no, he wants
you
to go
actually
number one, but via trade.
yeah, you actually read the article and it's like, oh, he doesn't want to go to Chicago because he's friends with CJ or with Justin Fields. I
Yeah.
almost said
Yeah.
CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud's friends with CJ Stroud. That's
Multiple personalities, man. It's 2023. That's like a little more normal, right?
yeah.
Okay. What else you got? French or combine wise?
That's about all I had combine wise.
Yeah.
You know, is like
We'll
you just
sum it
had
up
like
better next week. We can talk about who had the most bench reps and the fastest 40 time and guys that we think improved their stock or crushed their stock or whatever. Yeah, after the dust settles and we have the appropriate amount of time to do some analyzing, we'll come back to it.
yeah. The one thing like kind of aside was I like Dan Campbell's comment about the combine.
Okay.
He said something along the lines of, "We judge players by the film, not how they test in their pajamas."
I got you.
So I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he's always good for a comment. All right, so yeah, I guess in non-combine news from this past week, there was some franchise tag activity, which
Hmm.
we talked about last Friday. Um, Jacksonville has said that they are going to tag Evan Ingram, which I think is a good move. They got a career year out of him. He obviously had some good chemistry with Trevor Lawrence. Fills a good need there, so I think that was smooth. Dallas is saying if they don't get a long-term deal done with Tony Pollard by Friday, they will tag him. And then I saw the Raiders are saying the same thing with Josh Jacobs.
Hmm.
They want long-term deals with these guys, but if they don't get them, they're going to tag them.
Which the first two I'm not surprised about, but Josh Jacobs, I'm a little surprised that they want a long term deal with him because everything you read out of Vegas is that McDaniels hates him. I can't stand him. And but then again, in the same token, I've this week I've read kept seeing articles about because there was like they're talking about rumors about Aaron Rodgers going to Vegas and this and that, and the articles are saying they're the most cash poor team in the league. How the fuck are they going to pay Aaron Rodgers? They apparently it's rumored that the only reason why McDaniels wasn't fired by the Raiders is because they couldn't afford
Oh,
to pay out his
jeez.
remaining salary.
That'd be horrible.
Yeah,
Oh
so
man, yeah.
I was like, geez, that's a terrible position to be in for a franchise. But who the fuck's gonna want to go there with all the shit that's coming out about it?
Yeah, and I mean, you got Devonte Adams now sitting there. He's probably starting to fume, being like, "What the f is going on here? Get me
Mm-hmm.
a quarterback, or what the heck am I doing here?" So He went there thinking he was going to have a long-term deal with him and Derek Carr. Not so much.
Yeah, it's don't. He said when it was all the Derek Carr stuff, he basically said yeah, the reason I'm here is because of Derek Carr, but I understand it's a business and I'm gonna do what's best for me or
Yeah.
something like that, like not shutting the door. But I wouldn't be surprised if everything's going on. Devontae Adams, if they don't get a quarterback, starts being a diva and demands a trade.
Oh, I gotta believe it. I mean, that's par for the course, and you know, at his stage of his career, I mean, the guy wants to win. He
Mm-hmm.
doesn't want to sit there and rot away. All right, so yeah, then James, one other thing I saw, which I just saw right before the show, was that the former Carolina Panthers owner Jerry Richardson, he passed away at 86. I'm not exactly sure what caused the death. I do like vaguely remember he was forced to sell the team. I don't remember all the details on that, but and I don't want to like paint the guy in a bad light here. I'm just saying, I saw the article and don't have all the information, but just wanted to throw it out there.
Yeah, I missed that. I remember he was forced to sell the team, but I was like, there was like it was something.
There was like a scandal or just, I'd have to Google it.
Yeah, that's what I was doing, seeing if I could come up with it real quick. But there was like some kind of exactly scandal. I don't want to go through. That's a paywall. I don't want to do that one. Let's try this one. Ah, here we go. Here's the 2017 story from ESPN. That should cover it. Uh, oh, sexual harassment against allegations of sexual harassment, usage of racial slurs towards a scout, and the NFL was investigating him.
Okay,
So he
gotcha.
made comments about a woman's appearance, allegedly inappropriately touched female employees, and made advances to women that included asking whether he could shave their legs and for them to give him foot rubs.
Okay.
Hmm. But yeah, I remembered vaguely that there was something, but yeah, apparently, I mean, that makes sense that why they would he he sold it before he was forced to sell it.
I gotcha. Yeah, yeah. So it was going that direction. He just decided to put a lid on it and get out.
Yeah, and this week, speaking of selling teams, there was something about Daniel Snyder this week and how the NFL is renewing its push to um,
Get him out.
get him out.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. If you can find that, let's hear it, because that's that's all I picked up on the news for this week. It was kind of a lighter week, just in part because of the combine. That was the big news, and I didn't have enough to dig into just yet today.
So, wow, he took a $55 million loan from the team without telling the other stakeholders. Uses the team as his personal piggy bank. I'm not seeing it off the bat what it was.
Okay.
I I remember I was reading something like there was something he did that
He just rubs everybody the wrong way.
yeah. But there was some shit he did where something he said about the other owners or some, I don't remember. The other news I kind of picked up on was Willie McGinnis is charged with 2 felonies.
Oh, whoa. What happened with him?
Assault by means of force likely to cause great bodily harm. And what's the other one? Assault with a deadly weapon is the other
Oh
one.
shit.
Apparently, he at a restaurant in West Hollywood, he punched somebody multiple times and hit him with a bottle.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that dude's still in pretty good shape.
Yeah,
I like Willie McGinnis a lot. I mean, I hate it when I hear bad things about guys I like, but the world we live in, that's
yeah,
just
it's kind
how
of
it
the
is,
world we live in, and with that everything that's going, the video nature of everything. I'm sure, like back in the day, some of the other guys we liked were doing shit like this. It's just like everybody basically has a video camera in their pocket now.
Yeah.
It's so easy to catch it. Another thing I picked up on this week was Daniel Jones is apparently asking for more than 45 million a year from the Giants.
Holy cow. Dude's crazy, man.
Yeah. So he's seeking.
Well, I guess you aim high
Yeah.
and then you
So
see where
so
it
there's
goes. I mean, didn't he go to like Duke or something? Like you would think he would be smart enough to just know that that's just too much.
Oh, I see why it is. Where okay, it makes sense now. I hadn't pulled up the article, so because if if he if they give him the exclusive franchise tag, it would guarantee him 45 million for 2023.
Okay.
If they give him the non-exclusive franchise tag, it'd be the 32.4, but he couldn't negotiate with anybody after March 13th. So I mean, nobody's going to give up 2 first-round picks for Daniel Jones, but
No.
kind of play that card against the Giants to get more. So it
Yeah.
makes sense. He's not worth 45 million a year.
Yeah,
But
he's just trying to leverage that and say, well, do you want to take that risk? Because I'll go
mhm.
talk to every other team.
And then there's an article that I saw, but I haven't read something about Nick Bosa and Joey Bosa teaming up and breaking the NFL.
Okay. I mean, neither of them are free agents this year, though.
Yeah.
But
So I
trades happen. And I mean, well, Nick Bosa was hurt a lot too, more earlier in his career. Last year, he put it all together. But, Joey Bosa, man, he gets banged up every year, it bums me out because the dude's a freak when he plays, but man, he's always got something going on.
yeah. Okay. So apparently Nick Bosa was on Richard Sherman's podcast, and he was directly asked about the possibility of Joey Bosa joining the 49ers. And he said basically, I think Joey definitely is looking good financially. I think him on the other side, it might break the NFL.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it'd be, you don't see like a tandem of edge rushers like that very often.
No. So yeah, so I I just saw that article like right before we started, so I was wondering what was all the hub was, but that's about it for the news.
Yeah, it looks like fluff. I don't think there's anything credible behind it, just wouldn't it be fun to play with your bro?
Yeah.
Uh, all right, well, hey, we don't need to beat a dead horse. Let's move it on over here, James, and let's do our AFC free agency matchmaking, matchmaker session, whatever you want to call it. And I basically, from my end, man, I've got the NFL top 101. I'm going to organize it here by position. And I also have a list of all the teams in the AFC. I ended up going through CBSSports.com to get an idea of their team needs. And then I also went and used Over the Cap because we were referencing them last week to get their cap space. And I thought that gives us some information here. We can just start kind of like plugging and playing and see what we like or don't like and why. And, maybe we'll slap a couple names to each team and, we'll do the same thing next week with the NFC. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, it's cool with me. I did a little differently. I kind of got the list of 100. I didn't really consider cap space. I just started doing some matches on needs.
Well, we live in a fake cap world, so, I'm
Yeah,
not going to put a ton of weight onto the cap space.
yeah. So something I heard this week, and it's the perfect explanation of the NFL salary cap.
Let's hear it.
It's the salary cap is fake. The cash is real.
Okay. Meaning they're all getting paid,
Mm-hmm.
and they can
So
manipulate it whatever way they want.
it was something. It was like some sports talk show or football show I was listening to on the radio, and somebody was talking about. Well, I don't see this happening because they don't have the cap space, or they
Yeah.
have the cap space, and it's like, dude, the cap is fake. The cash payout's real.
All right. Well, I mean, it's a good little tagline. We see it every year. I mean, of course, it's like now you see it with like the Rams. They're one of the teams where it's like it's really catching up to them. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. Somehow the Saints figure it out every year. The Eagles figure it out every year. Like it can be done. I think you just got to be creative enough and know all the frickin' loopholes and ways of getting it done. So, all right. But so yeah, James, looking at the AFC.
Saints get under. Didn't the Saints get under the cap already this year?
Oh, I don't know, man. When I was looking at it just the other day, they were still at 31 million over, and so maybe they made a few moves to tighten that spread a little bit.
I was. No, they're still about 30, 31 over.
Okay.
I just figured by now that they would have figured it out.
I gotcha. All right, and so yeah, while we're doing this, I want to see if I can find this article real quick. NFL.com did a free agency matchmaking this week too. And when I was looking at it the other day, they did it for the AFC teams. It looks like they got both now. They got the AFC and the NFC. And it was by Nick Shook. I like a lot of his stuff. I don't necessarily always agree with it, but, we can kind of reference some of his picks while we're doing this too. So, but yeah, James, starting off, we'll go alphabetical. And so we got the Baltimore Ravens first up. I was showing them the other day having 21.7 million in cap space.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that is because they need a quarterback. Quarterback chews up big money. I also have them needing a wide receiver and a cornerback. And these are just some of the needs identified by CBS Sports. I did go through and kind of scrub this list because I didn't necessarily agree with all of them. So, like for certain teams, CBS Sports was saying, oh, they need a left tackle, they need a center, they need a right guard, and I just was like, okay, let's just combine it into offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise it's like all I'm going to put on here are 3 offensive line positions. And so, and then there were a lot of teams that they didn't mention quarterback. And I thought, okay, well, like Indianapolis, I think we need to have quarterback on that list. And the Raiders, I think we need to have quarterback on that list. And so I liked the CBS Sports information to help get me going, but I did tweak it a little bit because there were some that I thought were higher priority, if that makes sense. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, with Baltimore, quarterback, wide receiver, cornerback, plenty of free agents to look at. I think a lot of people are saying at the end of the day, something's going to happen with Lamar Jackson. I mean, it seems like it's hard to walk away from a talent like that. And so, if you're going to do it, this is your time. I think that he's going to command a big enough contract, or they're going to have to tag him that it's going to chew up all their cap space, which kind of like keeps him a little bit hamstrung from signing other people. But I mean, I got to believe that's their play, man.
Pro- for Baltimore, I got deep into my notes. Yeah, they're definitely something's going to happen with Lamar there. I think I completely zoned out.
It's okay. Yeah, and let's just say hypothetically they keep Lamar.
Yeah, they're gonna keep
Wide
Lamar.
receiver, wide receiver's not really a big thing anymore because we all know he likes throwing to his tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
So you can kind of knock that down on the priority list. Cornerback is still a pretty high priority because they got a couple of guys hitting free agency. And Nick Shook suggested that they go after Jonathan Jones, formerly from the New England Patriots. I do like that pick. You know, I think Baltimore, they for a long time now have had a very strong secondary.
Mm-hmm.
But when I do look at it, I kind of wonder if they're going to hang on to Lamar. How much are they going to spend in these other areas? Maybe they got to go a little further down the list and they got to look at like, you know, a Rock Ya-Sin or a Bryce Callahan or something like that that's maybe a little bit more economically palatable, you know? We don't typically see Baltimore going crazy with the cap games.
Yeah, I don't see them going much crazy with the cap game. I actually think I kind of have them needing offensive line a little bit.
Yeah, I could see that too. They had a lot of injuries, you know, and you know, like are all those guys going to stay healthy? Or do you just need to make sure you have more depth because injuries are a part of the game? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you
And
who do you like there, man?
so when I look at it, and then I had a thought, and then I remembered, oh yeah, didn't they just trade him like 2 years ago?
Bozeman?
No, Orlando Brown.
Oh, gotcha.
Uh, so then I went to the next one. I have to go to the next one, which is McGlinchey.
Oh yeah, right tackle, man. Yeah.
Yeah, great tackle. Everything I'm seeing from San Francisco is they are not looking to re-sign him.
No, and I mean it's the Shanahan thing where, you know, just like he's the running back whisperer and the quarterback whisperer, he gets like a lot of production out of no-name offensive linemen. And
Yeah,
so I gotta believe he's feeling pretty comfortable about doing that to, you know, allocate some of that cap space somewhere else, you know?
yeah, and but then again, one of the issues though is like you look at the top 100. There's not that many in the top. Even like say you go to the top 50, there's like only like three or four, maybe five offensive linemen up
Yeah.
there. So like it's kind of like
Yeah, and McGlinchey's a stud.
yeah. But
Yeah,
I
yeah, I
think
think yeah, you got him, you got Orlando Brown. I don't know, you kind of got a couple guys, but yeah, I mean,
you,
those are the big dogs.
I could see them still going after him and trying to sign him because his forte is in the run block and as a run blocking tackle, and that's what Lamar is a running quarterback, and they are lean heavily on the run game. So I think
Yeah,
that's who they would go after if they were to go after an offensive lineman. I do think that you're right. Like one of these top name cornerbacks, like
yeah.
they'll probably end up re-signing the the people that are becoming free agents. But like yeah, I mean you're looking down probably in like the 50 range for for corner back for them. Like
Yeah, you know, and just to kind of go back, if you're looking at run blocking, you got Caleb McGarry from Atlanta hitting free agency. He scored really high this past
mhm.
year with run blocking. And NFL.com's got him as the 36th ranked guy compared to McGlinchey at the number 12. You know, that could be a backup option, maybe something a little bit cheaper. And, you know, there's been rumors of Atlanta possibly tagging McGarry, but you and I talked about it last week. We don't think that that's like really going to happen. It's just that, if they were to tag someone, he's
Hmm.
probably their most likely candidate. Just doesn't seem like it's going to happen though.
Yeah, I think that's a good point with McGarry, and like probably going cheaper because and younger too, right?
Yeah, I gotta believe he's a little bit younger. I know he's
Oh no, they're the same age. The same age. Okay. I thought Mikulinski was pushing 30. He is pushing 28, but they're both the same age. I thought Mikulinski was a little older.
oh, gotcha. Okay. Well, James, next up we got the Buffalo Bills, man. And salary cap wise, they're upside down pretty heavily. They're
Hmm.
19.3 million over the salary cap. But fake cap games. I'm sure they'll pull off some moves. How much can they pull off? I don't know. CBS Sports, they identified some of their top needs being tight end, offensive guard, and center. This was one where instead of like combining the offensive line and going to a third position, I put them both in here because I think it's important to emphasize that they've got more than one hole on that offensive line. And when Josh Allen is like your be all end all, man, you really need to be thinking about protecting him. And so I thought it
Hmm.
was good to keep both of those spots up on the board. It's just a matter of now cap wise, what can you really do? I think tight end becomes a luxury. They've got Dawson Knox. I know they love Dawson Knox, and so I was kind of shocked to see CBS Sports have it as their top need. But at the same time, I do think Dawson Knox is a little bit underwhelming. He's an overperformer from like where he was drafted and where he's come from, but he's not like a tier one tight end in the league. And yeah, they could use something better there, but at the same time, it's a luxury when you got to keep your quarterback upright to get the ball to the tight end first of all. So
Hmm.
and so with that being the case, you look at centers and guards. Like if you're kind of going a little bit further down the list, you got Connor McGovern from the Jets. He actually had a sneaky good year, and he's ranked at 68th. You got Garrett Bradbury, sorry, from Minnesota at 94. I like him a lot, but I know that the Minnesota fans that I know they kind of like bashed him, didn't really think he lived up to that first round pick, but that's life. At guard, I think you got a handful of options, but there's really only a handful of options on the top 100 list. But
Hmm.
I don't think you go wrong with any of them. They got Ben Powers, Nate Davis, Dalton Risner, and Isaac Samalo, ranging from 41 to 61. I think Buffalo would be happy if they could get any of those guys. It's just it goes back to can they afford it?
Yeah, and that's the trouble I have um with Buffalo is who can they afford?
Yep.
And so I mean, I think you're honestly I mean, you're not looking really in the top 100, like maybe like Ethan.
Yeah, Pochek from
Yeah,
Cleveland.
yeah, but the thing with with Buffalo, I think more defense. They're gonna have to definitely have to end up replacing one of the two, Jordan Poyer or
Yeah,
Tremaine
Tremaine
Edmonds are
Edmonds.
gonna
Yep.
end up leaving. Um, oh, that was the news this week. I forgot about. Leslie Frazier is stepping away from Buffalo for 2023 as
Okay.
the defensive coordinator.
Gotcha.
There's no like I haven't been able to find a reason why, but he's stepping away and they're going to have a different defensive coordinator this year, which kind of makes sense to me. But then again, like you're looking with Buffalo, I think with McDermott being a defensive minded coach, with they're going to have a new defensive coordinator. They're probably going to lose Tremaine Edmonds or Jordan Poyer, which I
Yep.
believe it's going to be Edmonds that they're going to lose.
Okay.
Um, So you're looking more, for me, my pick would be more towards the linebacker um, than offensive line.
Yeah, and I mean, this is like the deepest linebacker group in free agency that I've seen in a long
Hmm.
time. So, I mean, they got their pick of the litter. You know, if you can't afford Edmonds, he's their 28th ranked guy on NFL.com. From there, it drops down to 50 with Drew Tranquil, and you can get guys all the way down to 93 with Caden Ellis.
Hmm.
Frickin' Denzel Perryman, man, he's at 91. That could be like a great bargain fit for Buffalo. You know, I'm sure he's still got some productivity left in him. And, you know, when you surround him with a stronger defense, that's going to allow him to get like whatever juice he's got left in him to squeeze. And so, you know, that could be a good pick for those guys, man.
Yeah, like you have him. You have who's? I was just looking at somebody, and then I scrolled up because you said Edmonds, and
Yeah.
I was looking at T.J. Edwards
Okay. Yeah, from
because
Philly. Yeah, he had a really good year. Yep.
and with the division they're in, it's the division is predominantly passing, and he's I think Edwards is a good passing down linebacker, better passing down linebacker than running down linebacker. And if with Miami who has Tua, who they're looking to pass, Patriots do a little bit of everything, but it's a lot of short passes, a lot of running back passes
Yeah.
over the middle. You have the Jets. The Jets are probably going to be getting like Derek Carr or Rodgers, and that's going to be, well, yeah. I just spoiled my pick a little bit, but um, and then
uh,
and then they're going to play Cincinnati, who excels in the passing game. They have to play Kansas City this year, so I would like T.J. Edwards there. It's a little bit it's he's not as good as Tremaine Edmonds, but I think for passing down linebacker, he would meet the grade for them, and they'll get him a little bit cheaper than they would get Edmonds for.
I got you.
A lot cheaper,
Yeah, and so I
especially with
just
the
shared my
availability.
Excel file with you in case you want to see how I sorted the top 101 list. Maybe that helps us kind of relate a little bit quicker, easier. But yeah, Buffalo, according to Nick Shook, they've got him targeting Dalton Risner from Denver. You know, I get it; it's a guard. He fills that need,
Hmm.
um, and so that's kind of like in line with some of what we're talking about. But you know, Shook is saying Risner could get somewhere around 10 million per year, and so they're going to have to do some cap stuff because yeah, I think Poyer's their priority. I think everything we've heard, we're in agreement on that. They want to hang on to Poyer. They'll let Edmonds walk, but just hanging on to Poyer, that puts them farther in the hole. And so if you're
Hmm.
going to find a way to get 10 more million per year for Risner, they got their work cut out for them.
I'm just ha- waiting for. Do you email me or put in the?
Oh, I put it in the Skype chat.
You not seeing it.
Oh man, freaking technology, James. All right, so on my chat. Oh, oh, hey, because it was attached but not sent. There we go. Uh, that is my bad, my friend.
Oh, no worries. It
I
probably
thought it
will
was
be.
lagged. So we're getting hammered with snow here tonight, man. They're saying it's going to be like 11 inches, and so I'm expecting at some point we're going to have some power and or internet issues, but hopefully we get through the show and we don't have to worry about that.
All right, there we go. That's much. This will be much better where I can sort it.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. All right, yeah. So moving on from Buffalo, we've got the Cincinnati Bengals next, James. And CBS Sports, they're saying offensive line. This is one where I combined the positions because they
Hmm.
basically said, hey, they need everything. They need a tackle, they need a guard, they need a center. That whole offensive line needs to be better. I just put it into offensive line. Beyond that, they called out they need a cornerback and a tight end. I think that they're going to be, my opinion is that they're going to make a pretty concerted effort to hang on to Hayden Hurst
Mm-hmm.
because he had good chemistry with Joe Burrow. And so I think that they're going to sign him. I would kind of just like put that in there, in my opinion, is like that's one that's going to happen. But then when you look at, like cornerbacks and offensive linemen, what could they do there? I think they got plenty of options, man. They've got like 35.5 million in cap space right now. That gives them plenty of dough to throw some darts, and so I think they get Hayden Hurst back. I'm just going to put him in here just for my point of reference. And then offensive line, man, could you see them sniping Orlando Brown? Because man, I tell you what, I'm hearing Kansas City's not going to pay him.
Mm-hmm.
He wants top left tackle money,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not going to give it to him. The question is, would Cincinnati give him top tackle money? I don't know. Top left tackle money is a lot nowadays. Man, and
I was just looking at Orlando Brown, and that was honestly like my top guy. I think they would go after. I think it might be too much for him.
Yeah, just because it's been such a sore spot for Cincinnati, you're saying?
Yeah.
Maybe
like,
they would blow the load to do it.
Yeah, because every year they have to revamp, or they're having issues. They're having issues with offensive line, and there's like Burrow's getting sacked more and more and more and more, and if he keeps getting hit, like it's like we talked about that year he got hurt. I kept saying, Burrow's going to get hurt. There's like, I hate to see it, but Burrow's going to get hurt if he keeps getting hit. They really have to protect Burrow.
Yeah, man. I think that, so with 35.5 million, they could get Hayden Hurst back for something decent. He's not breaking the bank. So yeah, you'd be dropping some serious dough on Orlando Brown. And then they probably still have a little bit to play around with. And so
Mm-hmm.
maybe they go bargain hunting for a cornerback just to kind of fill out the defense. Nick Shook is saying Juan Thornhill. In this scenario, could they afford Juan Thornhill? Maybe. I mean, they got him as the 96th ranked free agent. But would he be a higher priority than a cornerback? I don't know, because.
But do they need? They don't need safety.
Well, yeah, I think that I think that they're going to bring back Von Bell. I think they're going to lose Jesse Bates because that just they drafted Daxton Hill last year. He played on the tag. They're not going to double tag him. But if they bring back Von Bell and Daxton Hill steps up, yeah, then really they just need a cornerback, and so it takes the pressure off. And yeah, you would think the offensive line, it's like the same kind of thing with Josh Allen. You got to keep Burrow healthy, man. Keep him upright.
Yeah, I say they go offensive line because like honestly, if they're gonna go after secondary like that, I would go after Bradbury at cornerback.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna spend money on your secondary, if that's where you're going to make your big splash, I would go after Bradbury. Yeah, he did have that costly penalty, but I mean, he's still a phenomenal.
It was a great year. The one thing I wonder going after a guy like Bradbury, and I mean, I think he's earned a contract. I'm not like dogging him, but I do like put a little bit of an asterisk next to it because Slay was their CB1. And so I just kind of say, okay, you got to adjust for him not getting the top wide receiver every matchup. And so it just puts him in a better position. I still think he had a great year, and I think he's going to be able to have success somewhere else. But I would just be a little bit cautious. Is all I'm getting at.
Yeah, but even if you discount that, he even with Slay on the other side, he still consensus was in the top 20
Yeah.
in the NFL, and that's based on his play. And yeah, he's going against the second. He's not the number one guy, but I mean, he
I
proved
know,
it this
man.
past year.
Yeah. NFL.com's got him as the number 8 free agent. I mean, that's some serious respect.
Yeah, and like at safety, like if you're gonna go after safety, and that's where you're gonna be your big splash, then why not go after like Gardner Johnson or
Yeah.
what's the other guy's name?
Yeah, geez, man, I'd love the Lions to get Chauncey Gardner Johnson. I wanted them to draft him a few years back, but I don't think we can afford him.
Yeah, Donovan Wilson was the other guy I was thinking of. If you're gonna go after, make your splash at safety because you're losing Jesse Bates. And this is
Yep.
assuming you're bringing Von Miller or Von Bell back, not Von Miller,
Yeah.
Von
Yeah.
Bell.
I gotcha. Okay. Well, I mean, hey, I think we broke it down pretty good for those guys. They've got some options. The good thing's they got some money to play around with. And they've been very methodical the way they've built the team in recent years. And so I don't know that they'll go and make that big splash play on Orlando Brown because they've had success spreading the money around and bringing in like a higher volume of guys. But then again, if you're ever going to do it, now's the time because they filled in so much of the roster that maybe this is like that piece that gets them over the hump. You get that lockdown left tackle, that could be the difference. So,
Yeah, but and you but the thing of it is they spread it around, and Joe Burrow is still getting hit
yeah, no,
time
and
after
yeah,
time
I
after
guess
time after
when I
time.
say spread it around, I'm more looking at the success they had spreading it around on defense. Like if they did that, yeah, I guess they did that offensively with the line, and it didn't work, and so they've had mixed results.
Hmm.
Okay, next up, James, we got the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland, they're sitting at about 13.4 million over the cap, so they got a little bit of work to do. Doesn't seem insurmountable in this day and age. Um, I'm showing them having needs at defensive tackle, linebacker, and wide receiver, which at wide receiver, you're talking really like wide receiver two, because they do have Amari Cooper. Um, Linebacker was a little bit of an Achilles for him last year, but
Hmm.
some of it was because of injuries. And so, defensive tackle, yeah, I think that to me, when I'm looking at the CBS Sports information, I agree that that's probably the big need for them.
Yeah, the I had linebacker wide receiver kind of tied, and the reason why I had linebacker wide receiver tied is because you need that that number two guy for Watson to throw the ball to, um, and so I think linebacker is probably just slight edge over wide receiver, but it's so close to me, and it just depends on where you
Yeah,
get it, and where they are in cap space. It's going
yeah. I
to
mean,
be.
they can definitely go bargain hunting at linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
You could get some guy. I mean, freaking Leighton Vander Esch is on the list at 78. You could make a move for him. I think at wide receiver, they're going to be looking for a burner because, it's like, what was his face that Watson, man, had great chemistry with in Houston.
Uh,
Um,
uh,
yeah, you know who I'm talking about. I can't think of his
Fuller,
name, but I could see them.
Fuller.
Thank you, Will Fuller. I could see them making a move for either DJ Chark or Darius Slayton. Those are like the two burners on this list. They might have to pay a little bit more for Chark, but Slayton, the 55 ranked guy on the 101, he's been a burner with the Giants in the past, and so that could be, maybe a target for Cleveland.
See, I could honestly see Slayton over Chark because I think Chark's gonna try to
You think Detroit will hang on to him?
Not. I think I want Detroit to hang on to him because
Yeah.
he's already counting $6 million against the cap this year. So, but I also think, in my opinion, I have Slayton as a better wide receiver than DJ Chark, especially for what they need for the burner for the deep ball.
I got you. Yeah, then that'd be a good target for him. Yeah, and then I'd like to see him get a defensive lineman. I don't know that they can pay for the guys that they're going to want. Of course, you got Ashawn Robinson. NFL.com's got him listed as a defensive end, but he's definitely a big hoss. Could play defensive tackle. He's the 84 ranked guy. I could see him being a target. Maybe they could find some money for him. You got Larry Ogunjobi at 100 on the list. Maybe they go after a guy like him, but I think Daron Payne is going to get tagged by Washington.
Washington already tagged Payne.
Oh, they tagged him. Okay.
He was the first player tagged. Like as soon as
gotcha.
It was like Saturday or Sunday he was tagged.
Yeah. Yeah. Then you got guys like
maybe Monday.
Fletcher Cox. He's kind of fallen down the top 100 in recent years, but he's gonna get somebody's gonna pay him. It's gonna be Philly, but if it's not Philly, somebody's gonna pay him, and I think that prices him out of Cleveland. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, economically, linebacker and wide receiver is probably the easiest way for them to get it done.
Yeah. See, the thing with Fletcher Cox is he really has to be your change of pace.
Yeah.
Defensive end nowadays, he's not that primary defensive end. So I see Philly paying him a little bit but his down or his snaps per game has been steadily declining.
Oh yeah, I mean I would love to see him with Myles Garrett. I don't see it happening. If Cleveland had some more cap space, and I know we're in fake cap, but I am trying to stick to reality a little bit.
Yeah, like if they were going to do that, I would rather them go after like a Justin Houston or a Ibukum as an edge guy as opposed to defensive end. But
sure. Yeah, I got you. All right, any other names you want to throw out there for Cleveland?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. We got Denver Broncos next, James. They're sitting at about $8.6 million in cap space. Not horrible when you look at a lot of the teams underwater, but also not a lot to play with. And CBS Sports is saying their big needs are on the offensive line, at cornerback, and at linebacker. Linebacker, yeah, I know they got at least one guy that was hitting free agency this year, but they've always found a way to get it done at linebacker with bargain names. And I like Josie Jewell a lot. He's been good for them. Yeah, could they upgrade? For sure. And I think, like we talked about this year, it's a deep free agent class at linebacker, and so they could have their pick of the litter probably for the right price. I think offensive line and cornerback is a little bit different. That's where it's going to cost them some money. And so they'd have to be a little bit more strategic with those picks. What of these names do you like, man?
So for Denver, I would say it'd be less center, more guard or tackle that they need. And looking at it, I mean, I could see. Why wouldn't they just bring him back? He had a decent year. Dalton Reisner.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think they'd bring him back. Yeah, can they? Maybe money is the issue. Nick Shook's got him going after Von Bell. I mean, they do need man. I mean, Draymond Jones and Deshaun Williams are going to free agency, so they need help on the defensive line too. I don't know, man. That Denver roster's. They're not a quarterback away from getting to the Super Bowl anymore.
No, they're not, and I don't see them going after Von Bell.
I gotta believe they're gonna go offensive line. You gotta
Yeah,
put you gotta put Russell Wilson in a position to make good on that trade, right?
yeah, exactly. And I would say more so offensive tackle than guard
Okay.
on the offensive line. I think Risner probably would resign unless it is a ridiculous money thing. Like the person I probably would see them going after heavy would be like Isaiah Wynn from New England.
Gotcha. Hope I just messed something up here.
Who kind of just
Yeah, I could
before
see Win.
he got injured, but
Oh,
he kind of fell out of
get off my
favor.
lawn. Okay. Um, I could see Win. I was actually looking at Kelvin Beachum. I figure probably he's a lot of bang for the buck in my opinion. He's been very serviceable. You're not going to have to break the bank for him. But yeah, either one of those guys I think would make sense there.
Yeah, but the thing with Beachum, I just and this might have been an Arizona thing. I thought there was a lot of issues on that offensive line in Arizona last
Sure.
season, and so I that's what kind of why I discount Beachum a lot.
Okay.
But I could see that. I still would say win over Beachum, but
You are entitled to that opinion, my friend. Who else you like for Denver? Anybody?
um, interestingly, I kind of want them to go after Tremaine Edmonds.
I think that he would fit in well with that defense.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to cost him a pretty penny, though.
Yeah, I know, but I I like that fit on the defense
Yeah,
there.
and I think it'd be good for Edmonds because I think there's a lot of teams where he's not going to be what they think he is.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a certain style of play. But I like that. I like you calling that one out. I put a little bookmark here for him.
But outside that, not that's
Yeah.
oh I could also I would also see possibly tight end issues there too.
Yeah, so I guess at tight end, they drafted what's his face last year, and he was trying to remember the guy's name, but he was hurt for a portion of the year.
Who am I forgetting about?
When he came back, he was getting some hype, and I think that they're let me just Google him. They're looking at this guy as being like the future at tight end for them.
And then I'm completely forgetting about somebody, but
Let me just find the guy. Denver Broncos depth chart. Thank you, ESPN.com. Greg Dulcich.
uh, I
Yeah,
remember him now.
so he was a third round pick out of UCLA.
He's not very good.
Very good.
Not very good.
Well, all right. So let's just see. He had 33 receptions, 411 yards, 2 touchdowns, and that was in how many games? Let's see. Because I know he was hurt to start the year. Well, I mean,
Uh,
10 games, and you're coming off of injury, that's 40 plus yards a game for a rookie, you know, that's not bad. I don't know. I would just say, you know, that's just something. I think that they think he's the guy for the future, but young and, he's not there yet. So, yeah, you could go tight end. Who do you like on the list at tight end for them?
I like Gasecki.
I like Gesicki too, man. I can't believe it didn't work out in Miami.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised it didn't work out in Miami too. I think Tua's style is perfect for that for him, but
Yeah, I got you. Okay, well, yeah, that's an option. All right, let's move it on down the list here, man. Let's go to the Houston Texans next, James. So we got Houston with 21.2 million in cap space. You know, whether you think it or not, quarterback is on their list. I mean, we both kind of like Davis Mills, but they could definitely upgrade there. I think if they're gonna do it, they're gonna do it in the draft, not necessarily free agency. Aside from that, you got issues all across the offensive line. Really Houston, it's kind of like just pick a position and fill it because they've got
hmm
that many holes. But I would think you have Damian Pierce now at running back, open some lanes for him, and at the same time protect whoever you got at quarterback. So I'd start with the trenches. That's like, we preached that with the Lions when you're in a rebuild and you're a young team. You got to start in the trenches and then you work your way out. I'd probably start there, and then really it's just wherever they think they're going to get the most value.
so with Houston, I think you're looking at like I I'm hard pressed to pick somebody in the top 100 that would sign with Houston.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess that's the challenge is that you're either getting someone that maybe has some question marks, or you're overpaying, or
hmm
both, you know? So maybe a guy like Bradley Bozeman at center, he's bounced around a couple teams now. Maybe you say, okay, you know, teams maybe looking at you as a little bit defective. We'll make a move on you. I mean, by that logic, I don't know they'd get any of the guards because
Yeah,
all the guards on the list this year, they're going to have offers. And
yeah.
then at tackle, maybe they'd be looking at the bottom of the list, like Andrew Wiley. Maybe there where Kelvin Beachum would end up if they could pay him the money.
I'm gonna say they're gonna have a rookie quarterback this year,
Yeah,
more than likely. Like I mean, they'll possibly take a huge swing at Orlando Brown because Orlando Brown's better at right tackle than left tackle, and they already have what's his face at left tackle. Oh God, what's his?
yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Hell, what is his name? Tunsil, Tunsil, Larry Tunsil. And you put take a swing, put Orlando Brown over at right tackle, which is more his, in my opinion, more his natural position.
Okay.
And you have the bookend on your offensive line. They'll take a huge swing on at him. Um, will they get him if they give him the most money? If they give him that huge contract,
Yeah, we're
I
going to
think
pay you top left tackle money, but ask you to play right tackle.
yeah.
I mean, crazier things have happened. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think you made a good point. Is that they're going to have a hard time getting guys.
Yeah, like they'll take some swings at some of these offensive linemen, but
Yeah,
I think you're right. Like they're gonna end up with like an Andrew Wiley or um uh Bozeman.
Bozeman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Nick Shook's got him taking Austin Hooper, tight end. Formerly Atlanta, formerly Cleveland. He's not on the top 100 list, and so that could be a good target. Because when you look at the top 100 guys, at the bottom of the tight ends, you got Robert Tanyan.
hmm
Maybe they could get him because he's coming off of like injury down year kind of stuff. Um, but man, yeah, I don't think they could get any of these other tight ends. And then, I mean, it's just all these guys, man. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just
they'd have
like
a hard time.
and where they are for their team. I don't see them.
Yeah,
Like,
they
I see
gotta.
them
Yeah,
possibly taking a big swing, but I don't see them really seriously in it.
yeah. I mean, honestly, for them, it's almost like because they're picking at two, right? It's almost
Yeah,
like, look, you have so many holes to fill. You got to fucking trade down, and you got to accumulate picks, and you just
see, but
got to
that's the
ride
thing is,
out Davis
but
Mills for another year.
to get the quarterback, this year's the quarterback year, next year's not the quarterback year. To get their quarterback, they're going to have to trade up. And ultimate fuck you from Lovie Smith. I'm going to win this game, and you're going to lose the number one overall
Uh,
pick, and then have to trade for it, because if Houston doesn't trade up, the team that's going to trade up is Indy, who's right behind them.
yeah, I guess I would just be hopeful that they could trade out and get a quarterback next year. Um, because they just have so many holes, man, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they have enough draft capital to fill all those holes. And then I
And
guess
trade
if
up.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then I mean maybe if they found a way to do it, they're really banking on the team getting a lot of traction with a lot of young players this year to entice some free agents for next year. It's just a tall order.
Mm-hmm.
I think Houston's in a real bad spot, man. I kind of feel bad for him. It kind of reminds me of that Detroit dumpster fire position for a long time.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
All right, well, next up, man, that brings us to Indy. So the Colts, they are, man, for not having a quarterback, they don't have much for money.
Mm-hmm.
4.6 million.
Well, that's because you got to look at their dead cap. Like they have some shit fucking contracts that are still killing them on the books right now.
Oh man. Yeah,
Holy,
I don't have that up, but yeah, I
wow,
guess,
holy shit! They don't have shit contracts. They
so
only
they,
have 3 million. They don't have a lot of cap space, and they only have 3 million in dead cap.
yeah, I
Wow.
think they've spent a lot of money on Shaq Leonard, on offensive linemen.
Oh, this is why Matt Ryan is still considered being on the team according to the cap numbers.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. And that's
So
showing the 4.6 in space, or does that have them underwater?
it has them with 4.6 in space with Matt Ryan
Okay. So they'll have
costing.
more. They'll
Yeah,
have more than 4.6.
yeah. So they'll save once they cut Matt Ryan, they'll save approximately 17 million. So they'll
Okay.
have like 21 million on the cap space, and if they do a couple things, like I mean, they have a lot of room to do shit. Like their top four players,
Yeah.
three of them or two of them they could save right there at 37, $38 million in cap space. Because it's like they're playing Matt
Yeah.
Ryan's 35 million against the cap, Shaq Leonard's 20 million. Wait, didn't they cut? No, that was the other guy that was cut. I was saying was going to be cut. DeForest Buckner's 20 million, and Braden Smith is 19 million against the cap. But they can't. They could save with Buckner and they can save with Matt Ryan.
So who they going after, man? You're pretty sure you're feeling like they're gonna draft a quarterback, right?
Yeah, I believe Houston and
You
Indy
know?
is going to draft a quarterback.
Yeah. So
Both
so
of
we're
them.
not looking at Derek Carr here. We're not looking at Jimmy Garoppolo here. They already had Jacoby Brissett. They're not kicking those tires again. Um, and then, yeah. All right. So let's not
So
look at quarterback. That gives them needs at cornerback and offensive tackle, um, which would be, well, I guess left tackle is open. Um,
So the issue is it's like you look at I don't think they would be able to save enough cap space to get like Orlando Brown or McGlinchey. Then you're looking at next. You have Juwan Taylor, who's good passing downs, kind of sucks rushing, but
Yeah.
I think, but Jonathan. Then again, Jonathan Taylor is going to be. Then you have McGarry. Um,
Yeah, he's a right tackle, but
he's a
could
right
they,
tackle.
I don't know, could they shuffle some things around? I'm
Wow,
still
this is
hopeful that I'm still hopeful that Raymond out of Central's gonna develop, but he did have a pretty rough year for a rookie, you know. And I
so
tried to
then.
defend him last year. I thought they misused him, but it is what it is.
Yeah, so in the top 100 between contracts or cap space and positional need, I think Indy needs a left tackle more than a right tackle.
Yeah,
So it basically cuts out anybody in the top 100 for
yeah.
offensive
It's
tackle.
Orlando Brown or bust.
Yeah, and I don't think they have the cap. I don't think they'll be able to do anything with the cap space to for Orlando Brown.
So if they're gonna
I'm
make a splurge, it's at cornerback.
yeah, I'm gonna say Jonathan Jones.
Okay, I like that pick for them. Let's see what's good old Nick Shook got for them. He's got Jermaine Pratt at linebacker, plucking him away from Cincy. I mean, honestly, that wouldn't be bad because Shaq Leonard like basically just decided to not play last year, and I know that that's not like exactly what happened. He had some injury stuff and whatever else, but um, it doesn't hurt to double down at linebacker, and there's plenty of options. So you know, I think Cincy's going to be inclined to bring Pratt back because he's been good for
Mm-hmm.
them.
Yeah, I think you're right on that, and I'm hard pressed for them to get. I don't really see linebacker as that much of a need for them, anyways.
Yeah, yeah. Shook is saying they might go after Jadavian Clowney too. Just
I doubt it.
stop kicking the tires on Clowney, man. Everybody is like, yeah, we'll give him a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd like the Jonathan Jones pick. From there, I think they're probably, it's like bargain hunting at that point because, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that takes us to the Jacksonville Jaguars, James, up and coming team. 13 million in cap space. They've got needs at offensive tackle, cornerback, and defensive tackle. Um, I might put cornerback as their top need. Um, Seems
Mm-hmm.
kind of like they got a gaping hole there, to be honest.
Yeah. I agree with you on that, and that's where my mind is for them.
Hmm.
Uh, Especially since like
Yeah, and I'm just trying to think about Doug Peterson, his time with Philly. What did he do at cornerback? Was he there when they made the trade for Slay,
yeah,
or signed
yes,
him? I don't even remember. I think they signed him. We let him go.
we let him go and they
Yeah.
signed him. No,
Um.
no, we traded him
Okay.
because we traded him like week like 6.
Gotcha. Okay. So he wants a good cornerback.
Mm-hmm.
You could maybe put them with Bradbury as a potential fit, or Jamel Dean, one of the top cornerbacks. Um, yeah, I think he's gonna want someone, man. I mean, he's got that history.
I agree there. He has the history.
I mean, you were putting where'd you put Bradbury? You put him with one of these other teams already.
Oh, I put him with there's
That's okay. We'll
Cincinnati.
Yeah, we'll just say, oh yeah, I think Cincinnati. Yeah, so we're saying yeah, they need cornerback, and it's going to be one of the top guys more than likely. From there, offensive line, I think they would throw a dart because they do need help on the offensive line, and they want to protect Trevor Lawrence. I mean, Peterson drafted a lot of offensive linemen, though,
Yeah.
from what I remember.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
So let's just say he drafts offensive linemen and he goes for defensive tackle. I mean, I could see them going in any direction here at defensive tackle. Maybe they go after, you know, one of these guys that's got some flexibility like Draymond Jones or Poona Ford, although I think Poona Ford probably ends up back up in Seattle.
Yeah, so for offensive line, like, you gotta remember, they just gave Cam Robinson a huge contract.
Yeah, they got to draft
So,
her well.
yeah, like, he's, if I remember correctly, like, he's like 26 million against, 22 million against the cap this year. He's like their highest cap number.
Gotcha.
So you're looking for right tackle, not left tackle for them, really. Like, center, like, the rest of their offensive line, I think, is fairly serviceable. So yeah, I think you're right on that. I think you're looking at defensive tackle because they are going to go after the corner back, like one of the top ones, like a Jamel Dean or Cam Sutton.
Yeah, and I could see him doubling down, hitting a guy in free agency, and then even drafting a guy.
Exactly. And then defensive tackle, like, I think that's where they go. And
yeah, defensive tackle, it's tough because you're either going to pay big money or you could try to get a guy that's just in the rotation. You know, like you go after Ashawn Robinson, you move him to tackle. You know, he's a big hoss. But then you really got to draft a guy to go with him because he's not going to be a full-time player. Or you go big and you try and get a guy like Draymond Jones, but that's a tougher nut to crack, I think.
Yeah, and they don't have. This is a tough one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're going to be drafting some guys. I don't think we're going to see them go crazy in free agency.
I think you're right. Actually going to, because I pulled up the, whoever it was, the Shook article.
Yeah.
And I kind of like his George Fant.
Oh yeah, I didn't even look at him. George Fant. I like that. Yeah. He's been around a while.
Yeah, like, we don't have, like, he's not, obviously not in the top 100. He's
bargain hunting
there because of what they have on the cap, and they're gonna probably go big at corner back, and I think that's a fit. George Fant could play the right side. I would rather them keep Jawan Taylor over George Fant, but they don't have the cap space to keep Taylor, so I actually 100% agree with Shook's article.
Nice. Little match made in heaven, maybe. All right, well, next up, James, we got the Kansas City Chiefs. And these guys, they are $8.5 million over. They need a little bit of help on the offensive line. Well, maybe a lot of help if Orlando Brown's leaving. They need some wide receiver help, but I wouldn't go crazy there because you got Mahomes. I think he can make a lot of guys work. And then they need help on the edge. And so, the issue for them is whatever they're doing, it's on a budget. Or they go fake cap mode, they restructure a bunch of guys, and they bring back Orlando Brown. But I don't think they're paying him.
Yeah, so and that's the thing with them is like they don't, with not having the cap space. I think actually, aren't they losing both their two starting tackles?
That's correct.
Which is tough. I think they're gonna have to keep, like, Wiley if they're gonna let Orlando Brown go. They're gonna have to keep Wiley. I don't remember them drafting somebody recently.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be going to that well. It's just can you get can you get a left tackle? You know.
Yeah, and then for like you have.
It's hard to put anybody with them because I don't know how they can pay anybody. So I'm sure they'd love any of these names at edge or any
I'm
of
sure.
these names at defensive end. Um, but they're all going to cost something. And so unless they restructure a bunch of guys, I don't know. I think their strategy is going to be hit another home run in the draft, just like they did last year.
Yeah, let's see. I just want to take a look and see how they would be able to finagle the cap.
Yeah, so Nick
Oh,
Shook's got him going after DJ Chark. I kind of like that. I don't know, man. I mean, I think he's going to cost more than what they're going to want to pay.
wow. This is how fucked this team is. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Their 8th highest cap hit this year is Harrison Butker.
Okay, the kicker.
Patrick Mahomes nearly 50 million, Frank Clark nearly 29 million, Chris Jones nearly 29 million, Joe Thuney 22 million, Travis Kelce 14 million, Justin Reed nearly 13 million. Like I think Chris Jones might be a cap casualty because Chris Jones or Frank Clark, one of the two of them is going to be a cap casualty for them.
Yeah, those guys are both really freaking high, man.
Yeah, like they could save about 21 million each there, and then that would give them the space to go after or to keep Orlando Brown.
Yeah.
But I think of the top 100 that free agents, I think they go after. I think I'm leaning towards Robert Woods.
Okay. They, yeah, I mean, actually, I like that you said that, man. I'm writing him down because yeah, he got a raw deal in Tennessee. The guy's
Mm-hmm.
been like a technician at wide receiver for years. And then he just ended up going to a team that didn't have a quarterback. And he was coming
Yeah.
off an injury too, which didn't help. But
Mm-hmm.
he should be fully back to where he needs to be now. And
And
Mahomes could
because of
definitely get a lot of value out of him.
yeah, and they could get him for less because of how he had the quote down year because of the lack of the quarterback.
Yeah, very true. No, I think that's really a savvy pick there, James.
Why,
All right,
thank you.
next up we got the Raiders, man. The Raiders have some money, 39.5 million, but they need a quarterback. They need help on the offensive line. And CBS Sports is saying they need help at safety, but they do have Trevon Moehrig, so I don't want to go too
Mm-hmm.
crazy there. Um, is this going to be a Jimmy G team? Is this going to be? It's obviously not a Derek Carr team, you know.
So this is what I'm going to say. If Seattle is dumb enough not to tag Geno Smith, it'll be Geno Smith.
Really, Seattle's
If
hanging on to Geno Smith, man.
if Seattle does what everyone thinks they're going to do and tags Geno Smith, it's either going to be Jimmy G or Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, both have familiarity with McDaniels, right?
And I'm leaning more towards Jacoby Brissett
And you
than Jimmy
draft a
G.
guy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if McDaniel seats that hot, can he risk it?
But his seat really isn't that hot because they can't fucking afford to
Yeah, they're trapped. They're being held
yeah.
hostage.
Yeah, they're held
Uh,
hostage because of how cash poor they are.
yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, I do like Shook has Isaac Samalo at guard. I think that something like that would be prudent for them. Um, but I don't know if I'd go that crazy on the offensive line because Josh Jacobs ran all over the place behind a shitty offensive line last year. I think it helps to fill it in. Um, but, how bad could it have been when they had a guy go for 2,000 yards, combined yards
Hmm.
from the backfield?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then, I mean, like safety, like honestly, they could have their pick of the litter at safety. They've got the money. It's just how big do they want to go? If Morig's the guy, you're looking for a complementary piece. Maybe you go John Johnson, Donovan Williams, or Wilson. I could see one of those guys fitting in well there. Didn't really work out for John Johnson in Cleveland, but I think he's still got the potential.
Hmm.
But we don't need to wreck our brains too hard, man.
No,
So,
I think it's more of a. I think the big splash is going to be the quarterback, and I really something tells me Jacoby Brissett if Geno Smith is not available. If Geno Smith's available, Geno Smith.
okay. All right, next up we got the Chargers. They're in salary cap hell, 23.4 million over. They need help on the offensive line, mostly at guard. They need help at defensive tackle, and it says they need help on the edge, which is tough. I mean they brought in Khalil Mack, they got Bosa. I wouldn't put too much on the edge there for those guys, but definitely I'd say offensive line. You want to keep Herbert healthy, and defensive tackle. That's important for them. They need really like a run stopper, right? I mean that's been
Hmm.
their problem these last couple of years.
Yeah. So with the Chargers, it's going to be a weird take from
Let's
me.
hear it.
I think last year was their free agent slash trade splash. This year they're going to fill in the pieces through the draft. I don't think they make
Yeah.
a splash at free agency.
Yeah, so we're saying draft. You don't have the money to be playing around in free agency.
Yeah.
I think that would be prudent for them. They'd have to play some games to make a splash, and then even if they did, man, I don't know. What are you going to do? You're not going to bring Fletcher Cox in. He's not coming there. You know.
Hmm.
So, okay, yeah, let's just stick with that. Next up, we got the Dolphins. Which, man, I tell you what, I was surprised to see the Dolphins are this messed up with their cap space, man. They're 23.6 over.
Yeah, I just saw that and I was like, I swear I thought I looked at them and they were better than that. Like, who's?
Yeah, I mean, I know the Tyreek Hill trade, I'm sure that cost them a pretty penny, but freaking 23.6 million over. What the heck, man? You know,
Oh, that's why. Tyreek Hill, Bradley Chubb,
Teron Armstead.
and Teron Armstead. All three of those are like Tyreek Hill's 31 mil against the cap. Chubb's 22. Armstead's 21. Byron Jones is 18.
Oh yeah, they spent money in the
Emmanuel
secondary. Yeah.
Ogba's 17. Jerome Baker 12.
Okay. Yeah, so they need help on the offensive line, maybe a tight end because they're letting Gesicki walk, and running back. I think because this is coming from the Shanahan tree, really, I don't think any of the three of those are actually that big of a priority because they'll find a running back, they'll find an offensive lineman, and they obviously deprioritize tight end. So what do you do? Do you get some weapons on defense for Fangio? Let's see what Shook is saying.
See, I'm surprised. Okay, so I look at what Shook is saying, and I really like that.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised he's not in the top 100.
Yeah, this past year I think he went under 4 yards a carry and he took a huge slide. But even with that being the case, I would still have him above. Jamal Williams from the Lions.
Hmm.
Definitely anybody from Jamal Williams down. Devin Singletary, Raheem Mostert, Madison. I'd put Kareem Hunt above all those guys. I might even put him above Damian Harris. Miles Sanders did have a sneaky good year last year, but I think if you gave Hunt the job to be the one,
Hmm.
he's going to get it done. And so I like Shook's pick. It's just, and maybe because he's outside of the top 101, maybe they'll get him and it'll be a bargain deal.
Yeah, I like his pick. I don't think Madison is a number one RB. Mostert, he's obviously not going back. Singletary is a bust. Williams, everything I'm reading is he's re-signing with Detroit. Damian Harris,
He's good, but he got hurt last year.
exactly. Miles Sanders, I don't think anybody should sign Miles Sanders. Yeah, he did have a good year. He's way too inconsistent.
I know, but that Shanahan tree is not going to prioritize a running back anyhow.
Right. I agree with you there. I agree with you there on that. But like the other running backs, like even below, like I don't think
They got to draft their
many of
way out
them
of the
are
hole,
really
man.
low. Yeah, they got to build through the draft. Offensive line, I think you're right. I think they might go defense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think they're drafting, but it's I don't know. CBS Sports, man, these top three priorities, I don't agree with. I really don't. Like maybe because it's McDaniel and not Shanahan. I could see where you're saying, hey, you have needs here, but that tree does not prioritize these positions at all.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so then next up we got the Patriots. And the Patriots, man, they got some money again. They had like the big free agency thing the other year, and now they got some money to play around with again. They got 28.2 million in space. CBS Sports saying, hey, they need a offensive tackle. Isaiah Wynn's on his way out. They need help at wide receiver, which has been forever since Wes Welker retired, and really
Yeah, Isaiah Wynn's on his way out, but didn't they just draft a tackle last year?
on the other side, yeah, Cole Strange.
I thought they drafted two. I thought they had both. I thought for some
Oh, I
reason.
think they drafted like a Michigan tackle later in the draft, and
Yeah,
so maybe he's
I
not developed much, um, but yeah, and then they need help at linebacker, and so Belichick being Belichick, I mean, who does he have that he can retread? Because he's been good at retreading guys, man.
mm-hmm.
And then I guess who's out there at wide receiver? Because man, they've been
Cole
struggling at
Strange is
wide
a
receiver.
guard, not a tackle. That's what it is.
Oh, all right, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking he was a tackle, but
I was
uh,
thinking too, but
yeah,
because they have Trent Brown and I had Trent Brown and Isaiah Wynn and Cole Strange
yeah, I
is the
forgot about
starting
Trent
guard.
Brown. Yeah,
So they'd be looking for a right tackle, not a left tackle.
McGlinchey.
Belichick doesn't really make that much of a splash.
He likes having a strong offensive line, but how much money is he going to spend on a guy? I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
at wide receiver, I would say wide receiver is a huge priority for him. The problem is there's not like a wide receiver one just sitting in free agency, and that's
Mm,
what they need. Like
yeah.
what are you going to do? You're going to be the guy that goes after Odell Beckham? No, he's not going to come there. And then really, he doesn't fit the Belichick thing anyhow. They're letting Jacoby Myers go, and he's the number two rated wide receiver on the list. Could you go after Juju Smith-Schuster? Well, okay, well then why don't you just keep Jacoby Myers? I don't know, man. So I think they're in trouble at wide receiver. I think that maybe they throw a dart on the offensive line, and then they throw some darts at linebacker. And I think they could do whatever they want at linebacker, man.
Yeah, I think they could do whatever they want at linebacker.
Man, maybe that's the Tremaine Edmonds spot because I could see him being great on a Belichick defense too, man. He could play a lot of different roles like Belichick does with his linebackers.
I kind of like David Long there.
Okay.
Like he'd be prototypical three down linebacker that Belichick could get to overachieve and
Sure.
be higher. Tremaine Edmonds. I disagree with the ratings of David Long than Tremaine Edmonds. I think Tremaine Edmonds is. I think they should be flipped.
Okay.
Right now, Tremaine Edmonds is also gonna demand more money than David Long, or maybe even like a Drew Tranquil there. But I think they
Gotcha.
do. I think they go linebacker.
Yeah. I could even see him throwing a dart on Arden Key. This is a former high draft pick that
Mm-hmm.
looked like he was finally putting it together last year in Jacksonville, but all signs are pointing to him going elsewhere. Belichick's not been afraid to take on those reclamation projects.
Yeah.
But yeah, an offensive line, I don't know. You know, I don't know what they do there. I think they're going to be drafting a guy. I don't see them going and signing McGarry or any of these guys. Although McGarry wouldn't be a bad fit because they like to run the heck out of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it makes me wonder why Isaiah Wynn's leaving.
Well, it's Isaiah Wynn. Everything I'm reading about Isaiah Wynn is something basically happened with him and Belichick just stopped liking him.
So he got put in the doghouse. Okay.
Yeah, he got put in Belichick's doghouse and couldn't
Yeah.
recover from it.
Well, then I'm gonna put McGarry there as just an option because I could see that being a good fit. They can run the crap out of the ball,
Mm-hmm.
fill a hole, you know. And that takes us to the Jets, man. We got three left here. The Jets. I was bummed out to see this, man. They're over by 4.3 million. I was just, without a real quarterback either. I was hoping that they would have like a ton of space so that they could make some moves and just like continue with the traction that they had this year. And now when I see their cap space, it makes me wonder, are they going to fall back on their faces again like they usually do? But they need a quarterback, they need an offensive lineman, and they need a linebacker. Um, I don't know. Do you think that this is the Derek Carr landing spot,
I
or
think it.
or
I did think it was,
I know
but
that Frank Reich is calling his name out too for Carolina.
I'm struggling. Like I'm looking at just looking at their cap space and their like
Yeah, where are they going to free it up? Are you seeing some options?
I see very little.
Okay.
Like so CJ Mosley is the highest number against the cap at like 22 million. If they cut him, let's say they cut him pre June 1st, that's only going to save him 6 million. Laken Tomlinson actually will cost them more money to cut him.
Yeah, and I mean,
Carl
Carr
Carl
wants like
Lawson,
40 million, right?
yeah, Carl Lawson you could save like 15 mil. DJ Reed, it's only like 300 grand. Um, like there's not much like until you get to like Corey Davis could save you like 10 mil. Jordan Whitehead could save you, but these aren't players that you're gonna cut.
Yeah, and they got Mike White as a backup,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know if they would be going after a guy like Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah. So basically what they're gonna have to do is they would have to restructure Mosley Tomlinson, either cut or restructure Lawson, restructure Reed, restructure Franklin Myers, restructure Dwayne Brown, restructure Corey Davis. Oh, I mean, it's a lot to do. Like I don't see how they can fit him unless
Yeah,
unless like this year he counts like basically base salary against the cap.
yeah.
and then next year and going forward,
They're going to have to play some serious cap games if they're going to bring in Derek Carr.
yeah.
And I think that, for anybody else for that matter, I think they're going to have to draft their way out of the hole.
hmm
So,
And Derek Carr really is just a short term solution for them. So are you gonna?
yeah.
So he
I,
was my pick until I started looking at
yeah. And
the
they're not
cap.
going to, you're not going to get Jimmy G for cheap either, you know?
Yeah.
And so you're really going to have to go down that list and roll the dice on a guy like Bridgewater. And even then, you're going to have to make moves to bring in a guy like Bridgewater. But
hmm
but I could see it if they're thinking, hey, it's a 1 year fix until maybe Zach Wilson comes around, and if he doesn't, then that 1 year fix was a disaster, and they're drafting a guy next year.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna stick with my Derek Carr pitch because my Derek Carr pick
Okay.
because of the fact that if you heard the pitch that the Jets gave
Yeah,
Derek Carr,
the owner's basically saying they're going to find a way to pay a guy.
yeah, but specifically Derek Carr, the Jets were selling themselves hard to Derek Carr.
Okay.
Like basically told Derek Carr, you come sign with us. Your first year, you have a chance to win the Super Bowl, and if you do that, you'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
A part of me wants him to end up there because I
hmm
want to see Robert Saleh have success with that team. I'm just blown away that their cap is this messed up.
Yeah, me too. I'm shocked, but
All right, yeah, I don't think they're going to have room to do much else. It's going to be Carr or bust.
hmm
So then next up we got the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're 4.4 million over. They need help at offensive
I
tackle.
thought they got under the cap.
Yeah, why don't you double check it? This is from a couple days ago, so maybe they made some moves, but yeah, they
No,
need
no,
help.
I guess they didn't. They cut some, but they
Not
didn't get
enough.
under. Yeah.
Okay.
So like their effect like that's the effective cap space versus the cap space. Like overall they're like 38,000 over,
Yeah.
but effectively they're 4.4 million over.
Okay. Yeah, so I know they need a cornerback, but they're letting Cameron Sutton go. And I
hmm
think that they've been pretty good in recent years finding cornerbacks because they did just let a couple guys go, like Mike Hilton the year before and whatever else. And so I'm not sure that they're going to go and break the bank on that. I think on the offensive line, yeah, they could use the help, but historically, Pittsburgh's not really spent a lot on the offensive line either.
Well, you need offensive linemen. Oh gee, where could you have gotten an offensive lineman? I'm trying to think. Could you have gotten drafted a good offensive lineman instead of drafting Najee Harris? I'm just saying.
Yeah. And now don't you wish you had a good offensive lineman to open up holes for Najee Harris?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe they do something. Maybe they make the run after McGlinchey and they free up some space. I don't know. I'm not. I wouldn't count on it for them. This is one that this is like something I would want to see, James, but I don't know that it would happen. I'd love to fucking see Bobby Wagner end up in Pittsburgh.
hmm
Uh, they need a linebacker, and they really need an inside linebacker. I think that that would be like a match made in heaven, but I also think it's an outside shot. So,
So this was my Tremaine Edmonds
okay.
slot. I just something about it makes it feel right.
So, are you? What are you doing? Are you looking at Spotrac, or what are you looking at to see what the salaries are? Because they'd have to make some moves if they were going to bring in Edmonds.
I'm looking at over the cap because the reason I chose over the cap because of the fact that
Yeah, that's what we were using last time. You know?
Yeah, we were using it last time, and with the with Spotrac, like I was finding errors on.
So yeah, what players do they have? Could they adjust to pull that off?
Well, first and foremost, they could adjust T.J. Watt.
Okay.
He's like 30 million. Cam Hayward's like 22 million. Minka Fitzpatrick's 18 million. Like there's some work there that could be done to restructure those. If I remember correctly, Minka has so this year's salary is 14 million, and he makes 14, 14, 15, 17. That's his base salary over the term of his contract. If you convert some of that 14 million to a signing bonus, say you convert 10 million of it to a signing bonus, then right there that saves you like $3 million.
Okay.
Then with Cam Hayward, he has 2 years left on his contract, I believe. Oh no, he has 23, 1 year, 2 years, yeah, this year and next year left on his contract. His base salary, it's basically 16 million each year. This year, if you convert some of that to a signing bonus, say you convert 8 million of it to a signing bonus, that would take you about 4 million. And then with TJ Watt, that's the big one that I saw. TJ
Okay.
Watt has 3 years left on his contract, but his base salary this year is 20 million. And if you were to convert some of that, I would say convert 16 million of that to a signing bonus, which in turn, the 20 million is already guaranteed.
Sure.
His base salary this year is already guaranteed. So if you convert it to a signing bonus, then that would you could finagle it to have like and this, I hate saying this, but doing an extension with a void year, convert that to a signing bonus, and you could save a lot of money with TJ Watt.
All right. So there's a path.
Yeah,
There's a path to make it happen.
yeah. Next year, like this year, next year, and the year after that, he's about 30 million against the cap for Pittsburgh.
Okay.
This year he's like 13% of their cap.
Gotcha.
So you could finagle those three players. You could really finagle and play with, and also I think Deontay Johnson too. You could kind of.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because Deontay Johnson has 2 years left on his contract, and he's 16 million against the cap this year, which if you give him an extension, convert a lot of his salary, do it backloaded with a signing bonus guaranteed 2 years, and
Okay.
you could save 8-9 million on the cap with him.
All right. Yeah. So they could play, but yeah. I mean, I guess would they make some big moves when Kenny Pickett's just going into year 2, or would it be more of a slow and steady approach for them?
But that's when you want to get these big moves, and you want to get these. That's when you
While
go
he's
for
on
it.
the rookie contract.
While he's on the rookie contract, because as soon as he's off the rookie
Yeah.
contract, you're gonna be getting into salary cap hell.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. And you can't wait until year 3 or 4 because the window is only so big. So
Mm-hmm.
I like it. I like it. Swing for the fences, man. See what happens. Wrong sport, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So then our last team on the list here for tonight, James, is the Tennessee Titans. They've got about $8 million in cap space. They need help on the offensive line. They need help at wide receiver. It's tough because Robert Woods is leaving. So I have a hard time seeing them go after one of these wide receivers. But if they did, I could see them maybe going after Juju Smith-Schuster. He would help fill a role for them. Offensive line, that's a tough one because they got Nate Davis on the way out. The other guards are like right in that same range as him. If they're not willing to pay him, I don't think they're willing to go and pay those guys. And then at tackle, they need a left tackle, but they're definitely not going to be paying Orlando Brown. And these other guys aren't going to end up being that left tackle that they need. And so I think they're going to have to try to find it in the draft. And so, yeah, Tennessee's a tough one for me to figure out, man, to be honest.
Tennessee wasn't a tough one for me to figure out, and it has to do with this. It's purely logical to me that they're moving on from Tannehill.
See, I heard he's going to be back for this year, but okay.
So Tannehill cost $37 million against the cap this year.
Sure. So you think they're going Malik Willis or elsewhere?
Elsewhere.
Okay.
I think they're going to go either. I think this is the landing spot for Jimmy G.
I could see something like that. I wouldn't be like, I just wonder what's the difference in performance between the two. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's money. Maybe it's they think they can get Jimmy G for cheaper.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because Ryan Tannehill is costing $37 million against the cap. He's under contract for another. I'm sorry. This is his last year because the 24 and 25 he was contracted for, but they're void years.
Okay. So what's the cap hit if they cut him?
The cap savings if they cut Tannehill is nearly $18 million.
Okay.
I think it's better if.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how much you think you're getting Jimmy G for.
Right. If they cut him, that's interesting. Hold on. If they cut him after June 1st, they will save $27 million.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's quite a bit more.
Let me play. That's so much, but
Okay, so yeah, they make some moves, they get Jimmy G, and then they draft the rest.
Yeah.
Bargain hunt and draft the rest.
So yeah, so I was about right with going back to Pittsburgh. I was about right. If they restructure or extend TJ Watt, they could save about $12 million. Cameron Hayward, because I just noticed a function in over the cap.
Okay.
Check out. But yeah, so. But anyways, back to Tennessee. This might be the landing spot for Jimmy G. Everything I'm reading is they are moving on from Tannehill. Everything I'm reading is also telling me that the reason why the previous GM got fired was because of the Tannehill contract.
Okay.
And the owner's finally like, you know what? This is fucking ridiculous.
He did have a lot of success with them up until this past year, though.
Yeah. Because I mean, basically, they gave him $48 million guaranteed in that their extension of so it's like 48 of 27, so only 27 million of the base salary was not guaranteed. Total compensation guaranteed was $91 million of the $118 million total compensation for the contract. I think they're moving on from Jimmy G. I think it's obvious that Malik Willis was not ready. What did I say, Jimmy G? From Tannehill.
Yeah, so they need a bridge quarterback
and they need a bridge quarterback, and this could be a landing spot. This could be a Jacoby Brissett or Jimmy G landing spot.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a good spot for Jimmy G because he was playing good while he was healthy last year, but he wasn't healthy for very long.
Mm-hmm.
And so this could be a way of showing, hey, I'm healthy, I still got it, and then he signs a longer-term deal elsewhere.
Yeah.
All right, well, hey, I'm good there, man. Any closing thoughts on the AFC side of things before we move on here?
No, I think I'm good on the AFC side of things.
Okay. Well, why don't we shift it on over? We'll do our question of the week here, James. And so I was, kind of prepping you before the show. I want to talk about Jalen Ramsey, the Los Angeles Rams. They're looking at shopping him. They got to do some things to get under the cap, and looks like he's on his way out. The Detroit Lions have been one of the teams linked to him. Obviously, our GM, Brad Holmes, comes from the Rams. We made the trade with Goff and Stafford a few years ago. Cornerback is a huge need for Detroit, and it has been for a long time now, really since Slay left. And even when Slay was here, we needed help. Question of the week. Should the Lions make a trade for Jalen Ramsey or not? And I'm going to tell you my opinion is no. Jalen Ramsey is going to be paid something like $25 million this year on his salary or on his contract. The Lions, when I looked at over the cap, they were only at like 10, but that had to be before they made that move with Brockers, because I thought we found out last week that they were at like 24 or something like that. But even then, you're at 24 and you need 25 for Ramsey. And when you look at the list of free agents that the guys got, it's actually a lot longer than you would think for a team that's in, like rebuilding and on their way back up. Typically, you got a lot of younger guys and you got some runway. They don't. I would not go and blow all of my cap space on one guy. I would try to, take the play from the Bengals playbook, so to speak, these past few years, spread that money around, try to get more starters, try to get more depth, and slowly build for the future. I think Ramsey would be an amazing pick, but a luxury pick for this team. And we're not one piece away from making a Super Bowl run. If we were, I'd say go for it. But we need more than that. And so my answer is no, man. What do you think?
So, salary-wise, Ramsey would cost the Lions against the cap $22 million. No. $17 million. Because the 8.2 million of his cap number for the Rams this year is the prorated salary bonus, which would be the dead cap hit for.
Okay, so the Rams are going to eat that.
Yeah. So if they, and that's if they
17
trade him
instead of 25.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still only leaving the Lions with $8 million in space, man.
Yeah, it's leaving the Lions with $8 million in space. I think the Lions should not.
Okay.
Should not. Let me repeat. Should not trade for Jalen Ramsey. I think there's more value you can get with some of these free agent cornerbacks that will be available this year outside of like Bradbury and Dean and Sutton. I think anything below Sutton, like Murphy, Jones, Peterson,
sure,
would be less. Even Marcus Peters, who would be serviceable. Yeah. I think also this draft class at cornerback, I think is
supposed to be pretty good at the top.
Yeah, it's pretty good at the top, but it's pretty deep.
Okay.
So if I remember, and I gotta pull it up really quick, but if I remember, I want to say there was something like in the top 50 prospects, there was something like 14 or 15 corner backs,
Oh yeah, that'd be like super dense. Yeah.
and I want to pull. Let me see if I can find it.
Sure.
Uh, Best available. That's what I want.
So the answer is no.
The answer's no.
Okay.
So
Well, that's good. That we're in alignment.
it was the top 100. In the top 100, there's 14 quarterbacks. So 14, and they're really the top 87 because, or if you want to say 15 in the top 104. So it's fairly deep, and you really it takes a jump at around at like the eighth best prospect, cornerback prospect, jumps from 48 to 61.
Okay.
So in the top 50, there's eight,
Gotcha. Yeah, that's
and
that's plenty of options, man.
yeah, there's plenty of options that are that would be better than paying $17.5 million to Jalen Ramsey, who I think is falling off.
Okay. Yeah, of course that's a problem. He's playing on like a top-rated defense, which helps him
Mm-hmm.
and would help him further into his career where he starts to hit the decline phase. And so, yeah, we're not there. We need a guy that's still going up, and especially if you're going to pay that kind of money. And so, I like that. I like that we're aligned there. Yeah, and so I guess what I would just say is for anybody who's watching, just like name that stadium, guys. Hit us up, answer our question of the week. You can pop your answer in our YouTube channel in the comments section or on Facebook. We'll be posting the video there. You can comment underneath the video or whatever, any other way. If you know me and James personally, shoot me a text. I don't care. But yeah, anything to wrap up the show here, James?
No, I think I hit about it.
Gotcha. All right, guys. Well, hey, like always, it was fun. We hope you liked it. If you did, hit that like button. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. James, I'll catch you later, man.
All right, sounds good.
Gridiron Grinder. Hut hut hike.